Hi, welcome to Ladies of Another View. I'm Beck, and we were just talking before the show. This is the beginning of our second month. We've been doing this for one whole month now. How does it feel? Did it fly by?
It feels like, yeah.
I'm not on that much to like have that feeling of like, this is a lot.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah. I think we're having fun. I hope
Yeah.
you guys are.
Yeah, we've heard a lot of great comments from listeners
yes.
or viewers, and people will just say it's a refreshing change.
Right.
You know, so it's just been fun to get some of that positive feedback.
Yes.
Yes,
right.
that reminds me. Join the conversation. You can read on the bottom of the screen. .com. We would love to hear about you. We've had some nice fan mail. We've had some people that don't like us, but that's okay too. We actually really do want to hear from you.
That's right.
So let's get started. Today I'm here with Kendi, Carmen, and always with Mary.
Hi, guys.
And we are going to talk, we're going to start out by talking about how the opening session of the House ended with a prayer, sort of a prayer, because there was a Protestant minister, Representative Emanuel Cleaver, Democrat in Missouri, ended it with amen and a woman.
That's ridiculous.
Yes.
He's so woke that he outwoked himself because it's not a gender term. It's Latin for I believe or I agree.
Yeah.
It's a point of agreement. Let's just watch what he said.
Now and evermore. We ask it in the name of the monotheistic God, Brahma, and God known by many names, by many different faiths. A man and a woman.
Good grief. Good Lord. Holy Hannah.
Yes, good Lord.
And other
Good Lord,
expletives
yes.
that I can't use right now.
Amen, Mary.
Preach.
I assume he embarrassed himself, not realizing, thinking that he was going to win some points.
But how
Right.
ridiculous. It's
Yep.
not even, I mean, it is just, I'm almost speechless because I hadn't heard it until just now. It's like, I don't even know what to say. If that's coming from a man of the cloth, come
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
a person of the cloth. It's
Yes,
like,
yes.
good grief. I mean,
Well, you know, there's the big thing out there that a lot of women are supposedly saying that God is a woman, and so...
But even still, the feminists have never complained about a man because it doesn't have anything to do with men and women.
Well, I just saw a meme today that had a couple at a restaurant, and he was holding in his hand, and she was holding in her hand, and his said menu, and hers said woman-you. And so it's like, I don't doubt, where does this end? I don't even know.
Exactly. Where does it end?
It's not.
Seriously, it's becoming so radical and extreme, and it's complete nonsense.
I'm going to have to go back.
I don't get it at all.
We're going to wind up having to get a degree in how to say the right thing to different people depending on what's offensive to them and what's not. I swear.
Oh, you're never going to get it straight because as soon as you start down one rabbit hole, you've got 10 more. It's illogical, and it's going to get more and more illogical. And somebody said, where does it end? There's no end in sight. No. Because Nancy Pelosi has proposed in the House that they will ban all gender, not just pronouns, but references. There will be no mother, father, sister, children, grandchildren, none of that. Like, we don't have more serious things to be talking about. No. Their plan is in the House that they're going to ban it in all the bills. It's not going to be allowed. Now, this is interesting because on Nancy Pelosi's Twitter account, she describes herself as a mother and a grandmother. But once again, wokeness has made it into the House. And it's insane with everything that Congress should be spending their time on right now, that this is going to be their big crazy proposal.
Yeah, completely crazy. I don't get why we would want to take away those titles, other than I see it as a direct attack on the family, and they are doing everything within their power to minimize the power of those titles and the influence that they can have in our lives. I say this, I think, every show. I'm so disturbed. Not personally, I hope, but by what I'm seeing, it is so disturbing.
Right. And it's not even so much well, yes, it is so much what you just said, Kendi, but it is also, to me, it's attacking the basis of Christianity. And that has been under attack for a long, long time. We took God out of our schools, and look where we're at. And I will go to my grave believing that when you don't have any absolute truth anymore, and that's what this country was founded on, that's what it was based on, was Christian principles. And whether you are a Christian or not really isn't the point. The point is our laws are based on Christian principles. Our society was based on Christian principles. And now all of that is being chipped away, and just, it's like they've got a bulldozer now, and they're just like attacking anything and everything that reverts back to those basic foundations. And we're in a dangerous place.
Yeah, we are.
Absolutely.
You know, it's making me think actually of the situation we're finding ourselves in as we listen to this type of dialogue. And it's coming from the leaders of our nation. And we think, is this what's normal? Are most people feeling this way? Do they go along with this? Personally, I don't think so. I think that we just have some very influential people who are evil, and that they feel that they can speak for the masses. And I think that we as a people need to recognize that it's not normal, that we're not alone, and we need to stand up and raise a voice and let them know that we're not okay with this, that it's not normal. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to push back and stand up against this ridiculous message that we're receiving.
Well, I was at a restaurant a few weeks ago, and this one older gentleman, he was actually, I think he was trying to hit on this one gal, but anyway, she had said that she had a child, and he said, well, was it a boy or a girl? And she said, well, she hasn't chosen yet. This is a 3-year-old in Mandan, North Dakota. It's like, so it's not,
That's true.
It is. It's
that makes me
everywhere.
sad.
And it is so sad. It's like, she hasn't chosen yet. So to me, when she said she, it was a girl, but hasn't decided its gender yet. And you know, when I think, okay, so I come from a family of 6 kids, and I was girl number 5, all right? And right after me, 18 months later, we had my little brother. So during my growing up, I can remember 3rd, 4th grade, it's like, gosh, I wish I was a boy. Yeah. And it's like, I didn't mean that, because it's like, well, here's another girl, Mrs. Huff, here's another girl. Yeah. Oh my gosh, here's your boy. And I love him dearly. We're actually best friends. And so we always joke about that. But it's like, so there are going to be kids that's like, oh, I wish I was a boy, or oh, I wish I was a girl. Just you know what I'm saying?
All the time.
But that doesn't mean that when you're in the 3rd or 4th grade, you need to switch genders. And, and that's the part where people don't understand.
Well, let's look at how crazy it is, because we would have to memorize all these pronouns, and who's going to require it? In some places, in some schools and colleges, you are required to use people's preferred pronouns. So look at all these. It's insane. I think it says more about, it's about who you are and your confusion, and you shouldn't be putting this on everybody else, that I have to have my pronoun, or somehow you're infringing on my rights. And then we're going to have name tags. We're going to have some clever name tags here. So when you say hello, you're going to know which pronouns to use.
Good Lord.
That's
crazy.
good grief.
But that's the way it is in a lot of colleges, that there have been professors that have been fired for not using the correct pronoun. So we're going to wrap that up right now as we go to the break with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck, or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather, like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines.
Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Are you a thrill seeker, sightseer, or day tripper? The Ford Bronco Sport SUV is built for you. Four Bears Casino is giving away a 2021 Ford Bronco Sport loaded with a ton of interior space, safari-style roof, smooth suspension for any terrain, and easy-to-clean surfaces. Qualify now just by playing your favorite slots at Four Bears Casino. Double points on Sundays. Also get in on Super Senior Wednesdays, slot turning Thursdays, and hot seats on Wednesdays and Thursdays. Spin into Four Bears Casino and Lodge for chances to win.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. During our last segment, we were talking about the House wanting to ban pronouns and any reference to male or female. So that would be mother, mother, daughter, all that would be gone in any kind of bills. And maybe this is why they're losing momentum, even though the claim is that Biden enjoyed an edge of 7.1 million votes. So they say. We have our own opinions about that. In reality, the Democrats suffered a loss of 13 seats in the House, reducing their margin from 36 to 10. And Nancy Pelosi was just reelected Speaker of the House, but 5 defected, and she just barely, just narrowly was reelected because a lot of people feel that her leadership is leading them down the wrong path. Instead of moderate Democrats, they're becoming more radicalized. And as you can see by them losing seats in the House, even though the predictions were they were going to gain seats, that not everybody is buying this insanity. So on a positive note, Republicans are gaining ground because not everybody wants to go this way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there actually is a major movement that's happening in the United States, and it's called #WalkAway. I want to read just a portion of this. It's from their website, just to give you a feel for what they're all about. The #WalkAway campaign is a true grassroots movement founded by former Liberal Brandon Straka on May 26, 2018. The WalkAway campaign encourages and supports those on the left to walk away from the divisive tenets endorsed and mandated by the Democratic Party of today. We are walking away from the lies, the false narratives, the fake news, the race baiting, the victim narrative, the violence, the vandalism, the vitriol. We are walking away from a party driven by hate. We are walking toward patriotism and a new unified America. We are the future of this great nation. And we're going to show just a portion of a clip that he put together, and it's regarding this idea of gender confusion and how the left is using it to turn us against things that really matter.
I have witnessed the irony of advocacy for gender equality morph into blatant hatred and intolerance of men and masculinity. I have seen the once earnest fight for equality for the LGBT community mutate into an illogical demonization of heteronormativity and the push to vilify and attack our conventional concepts of gender. These same self-proclaimed victims of intolerance now turning on the gay community that they attached themselves to advance their agenda, now calling gay people privileged and themselves victims of injustice.
I think that's powerful. You know, I did a little search to see how many people identify as transgender in the United States. And it's a rough estimate, but it's 0.6% of all Americans would identify as being transgender. And yet you think
0.6 or 0.06?
0.6.
0.6.
But even with that, I mean, it's a small percentage. You think of the movement and what they're doing over such a small group of people. And I don't want to take away from people's struggles with gender identity, but for them to change the whole foundation of our society, it's crazy.
Basically hijacking our culture.
Yeah.
That we can't have mothers and fathers. I mean, think about the whole civilization of humanity. And nobody is saying to be disrespectful, but it's a little insane to say a minuscule percent of people. And it used to be that psychiatrists could treat people for dysphoria. If you think you're 100 pounds overweight and you're actually skin and bones, it's called dysphoria. And there's a lot of other situations that people have where some people think that their legs should be amputated, or just, it's not right thinking, where reality doesn't match with what you think. And that's what I actually know and am friends with, and helped one lady write her book. 2 women who wanted to be males. They truly wanted to be. They weren't just tomboys. And they're so glad they didn't grow up during this time, because they got over it. And most of them do. Studies show that most adolescents, like 75% with no treatment at all, get over it. They're happily married and have 4 children now. And for a small, minuscule percent of people to be feeling like they are members of another sex, and now all of society needs to come up with different pronouns. We can't call ourselves mothers and grandmothers anymore. This is insane.
Well, I want to know who gets to decide those terms. Z and Z, I don't even know how to pronounce them.
I think Z is short for she, and he is Z. So that's, if you look at those terms, it's like Zer is short for he, and her is Zer.
Yeah.
That's kind of sort of how they came up with it.
But who's they? Who gets to decide normal? Who gets to decide which pronouns, what they sound like with their new whatever we're moving into? Yeah, I've often wondered who gets to make those choices, and how do those choices rise to the top? I'm sure there's been plenty of people that said, well, no, I want to be called, I don't know, whatever. And,
right.
But they didn't make the cut.
Some groups.
So these are the ones that
I feel like
in.
a princess, so you should all refer to me as royalty.
There you go.
You have
my
princess hair.
My princess hair.
Yeah, somebody at University of Michigan said my preferred pronoun is His Highness.
Oh my gosh.
And then somebody else at another university got in trouble, a professor, for thinking it was funny. And so no sense of humor on these things anymore.
We're being told how to think, not only what to do, but how to think. So it's being forced upon us.
Right.
And it's like, you can't even be funny, you can't even make a joke about it, that you're criticized for, you know.
I just realized what we just did. I'm sure there's some people that think that we're undermining. And getting back to our topic, it's because of this. It's not just a little crazy, but it's unjust, and that we're going to be told what we have to do. And professors have been fired for not using the correct pronoun. Right. And this is why I think that there's the walkaway movement, because the man that was talking identifies as a homosexual man. And he's saying what's going on is wrong. This shouldn't be happening in society, that we're all being held hostage. And so more Republicans are getting voted in the Senate and in the House. They lost 13 seats. Why was that?
Right.
Because they're too radical.
Yeah. And you think about, I read an article where they were actually talking about how a lot of the people who are being elected, who are replacing Democrats, they were women or minorities. And I've been thinking about women and how there are more women who are becoming more involved. And I think it's because women are awake. Not to say men are not, that's not it at all. But I think there's just something within traditional viewing women that recognize the great danger we're in. And it's that mama bear, and she's coming out, She's going to do everything she can to protect her family and her society. And so I feel so encouraged, actually, and I'm grateful to be a woman. I'm a mother and a daughter, and I'm grateful to identify as that, and soon to be a grandma.
Right.
Oh, nice.
That's fantastic.
Congratulations.
Yes,
And do you
congratulations.
have a grandson or a granddaughter?
I'm having a granddaughter.
But I'm saying it's
It'll
like,
be one of
it's
those.
Or actually,
Yes.
grandson. Oh my gosh.
The baby doesn't get to choose,
We're going
right?
to follow the
Maybe.
science, right. Okay, so coming up in our next segment, we have Greg and Julie Alexander, and they are a married couple that were on the brink of divorce. They even told their kids they were going to be divorced. And in the end, their pastor said, do you even know what marriage is about? So they started learning and realizing they didn't have a clue what marriage was about, and so they really were not even practicing what they should have. Anyways, everything turned around, and they are now marriage coaches, and we're going to talk to them and hear their story and ask them a lot of questions. They're going to tell us about what's going on with marriages during COVID and all the stress. When we come back with Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
In southwestern and south central North Dakota, on any given day at any given moment, a Dakota Community Bank and Trust customer is logging in or signing on to do their online or mobile banking. We believe that community banking can blend both the past with down-home customer service in-house and the future with modern banking conveniences and technology for our customers anywhere, like here or here, all while honoring our long-standing tradition of community-first oriented banking here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
Beck News brings you real people and real news. Every weekday on KNDB, KNDM, and KRDK. Start your evening with the Dr. Duke Show at 4. Take a fresh look at current events with Ladies of Another View at 4:30. Go down the road with Joel at 5:30. Watch No Apologies with Becker at 9. Cap off your night with No Filter with Debbie at 10. Beck News. Real people, real news.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Beck. And our guests for today are Greg and Julie Alexander, and they started the Alexander House. We're having a little technical difficulty, so I'm going to talk a little bit about what I know about them. I've known them for 20 years.
Where is the Alexander House at?
Well, they just moved recently a few years ago to Corpus Christi, Texas,
Okay.
but the Alexander House is everywhere because we're all on the cloud, right?
Oh, true.
And they were on the brink. Their plan was to divorce. Everything fell apart. They had 2 kids. and they told their kids they were going to get a divorce. Their kids fell apart, just were crying and oh no, and they thought, well, they'll get over it. And then they started learning. Their pastor at church actually said, well, what do you even know about marriage before you divorce and you end your marriage? Do you even know what marriage is supposed to be? They started reading the Bible and learning about like what it means to get married and to be a good spouse. And in the end, they had a whole renewal in their marriage, and they started working for their diocese and I think a family ministry office, and they began marriage coaching. And I've done quite a few stories with them over the years and interviewed them, and I've heard how they really have resurrected relationships, because oftentimes you just don't even know why things are going wrong when you have that outside person. And the beauty of having both a husband and a wife is that the man can talk to the man, the woman can talk to the woman, so you don't feel like someone's taking sides. But they can hold you up to a higher standard too. And because I know my husband and I, we went through some rough times, and most of our friends, and it's not to say that every marriage has to survive no matter what, because there are some unfortunate situations where it isn't going to work out. But I know of the people you know whose marriages have survived, a lot of times what you survived is less than what some people divorced over.
Yeah.
And hanging on, it's amazing how it can get better,
Well, and part of that too is back in the day, when they talked about cabin fever, and I refer back to maybe a little postpartum depression. Our family physician, he said, that's where the term came up with was cabin fever. They're trapped in this house with this family. And so some of it is depression. And it's like, nobody understands me. I don't want to talk to anybody. So sometimes it's not even marriage trouble per se. It's just depression that a person needs to work on too. So it's not necessarily a bad marriage. It could be just bad things in the marriage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And a lot of times that stems from childhood too, because those problems are going to resurface. If they're here,
there they
are. There you are. Hey, we were stalling for time. Hi, Greg and Julie.
Hi guys, how are you?
Hello. Great. And we can hear you. Are you in Corpus Christi, Texas?
In San Antonio, Texas. Still in Texas.
San Antonio.
I know Texas is a great big state, so we could be anywhere, but yeah, in San Antonio right now.
Well, during the time we couldn't hear you, I was telling your story on how you were on the brink of divorce, and now you started your marriage coaching. So and since we lost some time doing that, I'd like to go right in with how is it that you as a couple are helping other couples?
Oh my goodness, we've taken that pitiful story that you shared, and we now share that story to give other couples hope in their marriage relationship, but really taking them through the processes of what we went through to get our marriage back on track. And Patty, it's been well over 5,000 couples that Julie and I have worked with now in the last 21 years. And we have well over a 98% success rate in helping even some of the worst situations where we've been able to help those couples come back to a happy, holy marriage. And of course, as you know, it has nothing to do with Julie and myself, but us being there as an instrument utilized to help bring them back through the hurts and pains and miseries of what we had experienced.
Exactly. A lot of people just want to know that there's hope. And there's a way to heal the wounds, because we all have wounds. We even have wounds coming into the marriage, and we bring that in and we don't know how to deal with it. And not a lot of people are trained on how to deal with people or individuals. And they say, wow, well, just get out, just divorce, just go to your own separate ways. And I tell you, we are grateful beyond imagination that not only was our marriage saved, I mean, literally, when I said it was horrible, we did everything wrong you could ever do in a marriage. And by the grace of God, we're here together today. So,
what was that percent you gave, Greg? Was it 86 or 96%?
Over 98%.
Wow.
Out of the 5,000 couples, there's only been to date 34 couples we haven't been able to help. And with those 34, one of the others had that significant other that they were not willing to let go, if you will, or it's been drug and alcohol related. But outside of that, the couples that are willing and wanting to work on the marriage, we've been able to successfully help them reconcile.
So with those that you've helped, have you noticed that both partners have to want it? Or do you have couples come in where one is wanting it, the other is not? Like what type of couples are you working with?
Yeah, and that's one of the first things that we try to ascertain is if they're both willing to put in the time, energy, and effort to make it work. Needless to say that those are the situations that really come together a lot faster. However, we do have some where one or the other is not really willing because of whatever reason. But when they finally come back around, then we can kind of help them get to where they need to be. So I always say that if you don't want to work on your marriage, not even Almighty God is going to reach down and make you do anything that you don't want to do. So yeah, so it's very helpful when they are wanting to participate in this process together.
Right.
You know, one thing I wanted to bring out is I know you work with couples. People are afraid, I can't afford it. We can't afford therapy. And you're willing to work with people where they're at, right?
Yes, absolutely, because it is the Alexander House Apostolate, which is a ministry, and we've been doing it now for 21 years, and we do not charge couples for what we do. And honestly, it was one of the things that was a consternation in us because we would even have a sliding fee scale. But, you know, we go back and in our prayer, we came to understand it was Matthew 10:8, and God didn't charge us to redeem our marriage, and we cannot charge couples either. So we are here by the ability other people are donating to us so we can do this for free for couples. Because a lot of times couples that come to us, they're struggling with finances, and we don't want there to be anything in the way of them receiving hope and healing for their marriage.
Wow.
So are they couples who would want to contact you? Do you do things virtually or do they have to come into your location?
Yeah, but because of the fact that we literally work with couples all over the world, we started working virtually probably 6 years ago, long before the whole COVID situation came about and forced people in that. So we've been quite comfortably doing this for about 6 years, working virtually, again, literally all over the world. In fact, even the couples that are here locally in San Antonio, we work with them through video conferencing as well. And here's the thing, because there's something about the fact with them being at home, they feel a sense of comfort. And so we're able to sit back and visually pick up a lot of body language that we normally wouldn't get, even if they were in person, because when they used to come to the office, they put their best foot forward and put on the airs and didn't really want the real person to emerge, if you will. But there's something about being in the comfort of their own homes that some of those things start to come out. So it really helps us in working with the couple as we begin to see some of the language that is spoken by their bodies, so to speak.
So do you ever have it where one member of the couple comes in and works with you for a while and they're able to convince their spouse then to join them, or do they usually both come at the same time?
We have a way that we do it. We work with the couple together because we've tried it differently in the past at the very beginning when one would come to see us and we would be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you're dealing with that kind of guy in your home, in your marriage. Well, then we talk to the guy and we're like, well, no wonder you're like that. So what we do, we meet with couples together because it is the marriage and we work on the marriage. And through working on the marriage, they then begin to work on themselves. But no, we keep them together because we want them to be comfortable and start to learn how to express their desires, their needs, their hurts, their wants, and allow the other person to literally be a servant spouse. I mean, we're here to help the other person in this life. And I used to say, I used to help Greg be miserable. And now I'm saying I'm helping him become a better person. So yeah.
That's awesome. When we come back, we have more questions for you. Right after the break on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
Howdy folks, it's the Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Boston breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar, sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon rattling pie with a comb roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Since opening in Hebron in 1940, Dakota Community Bank and Trust has been your hometown bank. Our mission has been to provide modern banking convenience. with old-fashioned hometown service. We've grown with the communities we serve through year-round events, countless sponsorships, and nearly 7,000 hours of volunteering each year. Learn more about our 80-year history at dakotacommunitybank.com.
Jeez, what a mess. Look at that. There's roof stuff everywhere. It's so embarrassing. Ruins the neighborhood. Come on, humans. Let's get this fixed.
Don't let your roof go to the dogs. Call America's Best Contractors for your free estimate.
Need a new woof?
After checking with the rest, go with the best. America's Best Contractors. 258-2412. Online at americasbestcontractorsincorporated.com.
For the greatest selection and full menu offering, it's the Four Seasons Restaurant and Ice Cream Parlor in Garrison. Succulent sandwiches, big breakfasts served all day, and delicious desserts. Easy access in and out for campers and RVs. The Four Seasons Restaurant at the top of Main Street, Garrison.
Some things in life are hard. That's why banking shouldn't be. Cornerstone Bank.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View. I'm back, and we're here with Greg and Julie Alexander, who they do marriage coaching with the Alexander House, and they also have resources too. So there is a lot you can do to enrich your marriage. Even if you have a great marriage, they can help you make it better. And I've actually known them for about 20 years. As a writer, I interviewed them. So you must have just been starting your marriage coaching right around the time I got to know you.
Absolutely, yeah. And,
it is a beautiful ministry. They are a beautiful couple that truly, oh, look at that. That was so quick. We saw them.
That's
cute? Such a cute couple. I want to talk to you about what's going on with COVID, because along with all these lockdowns and shutdowns is a lot of cabin fever and people not getting out. How is that affecting marriages?
Yeah, it's affected it big time. I mean, our request for our marriage coaching service has increased well over 50%. And I think it's because typically, the husband typically is the one going outside of the home to work, and they didn't really have that concentrated time together. However, now being kind of cabin fever, as you mentioned, and being in such close proximity, a lot of the problems and issues that they used to kind of run away from, if you will, they're now having to face. And so those things are really starting to surface. But thanks be to God, they're willing to reach out and look for help during this time of difficulties as well.
Right. So one of the things I was wondering is, what are the main reasons, say the top 2 or 3? Is it financial? Is it infidelity? Is it just disagreement? Is it the kids? What is the top 3 reasons people come in for help?
Well, number one, I would say that the lack of knowledge of even how to be in relationship with somebody else, just because the poor training or the lack of good examples that people have been given in their life growing up. But unfortunately, the one that we see often is now the rise in pornography, which leads to infidelity, which leads to ripping apart the family. And it is so sad because it's so readily available. And, there are so many issues. There's an embarrassment issue. There's a frustration. There's a deal that what women have to deal with, what guys have to deal with. It's both. And I'm telling you, it is so devastating. And yet, to get hope and to be out there, you're not alone. If anybody's watching and wondering, is there any hope in our marriage? There's hope in every marriage who's willing to say, okay, I'm willing to come forward and to see what we can do to heal and to move forward.
Wow.
Interesting.
Powerful.
Yeah.
Are you noticing that, I wonder, because I heard a statistic not long ago about 1 in 3 males have seen pornography by age 12 or something like that. I don't know. But are you noticing that more and more couples are coming in with typically the male, not always, but having that issue from a young age and brought it into the marriage? Are you seeing more of that, or?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see a lot of that, and especially for the men, because a lot of times in growing up for the men, it is just something that men do, and many of which are introduced at that young age. And so, playing sports, football teams, basketball teams, military, and all these different things that they engage in really kind of supports that mentality. And so they kind of see it as a norm, if you will. And in all honesty, it was an issue that we had in our marriage. And I brought that into our marriage relationship, which, really allowed a lot of feelings for Julie to erupt, where I felt like I always had to compete or I wasn't good enough because you had that stuff in your life. But it wasn't so much because I needed it. It was just a norm, if you will. Not that that makes it right by any stretch of the imagination, but once I really came to understand the hurt and pain that it was inflicting on her, I knew it was something that could no longer be a part of a marriage relationship. But this kind of feeds into what Julie was talking to earlier, is the fact that couples just don't know how to be in relationship. In essence, they have failed to really understand that in marriage, it's not about self. It's about a dying to self for the sake of the other person. And so when we do that and start to really engage in what we refer to as those emotional needs of the other person, when those needs are being met, nothing but value and worth, in essence, the sense of being in love, is felt by the other person. So typically a lot of those problems manifest because we've lost that ability to really allow our spouse, our beloved, to feel that sense of worth.
So in regards to faith, you mentioned that God was key in helping you find healing. How would you address a couple where possibly they have different views on faith, or one doesn't even have a belief in God? Is there hope for them?
Absolutely. Yeah. And of course, we get couples from all kind of places. In fact, we had a couple the other day that has no faith that found our book in a library that they read. And they said, it was so intriguing, and that we were able to come back together, that maybe we can help them as well. And there's been many couples before where there has not been that faith element. But what we try to bring them back to is the understanding that there is a being who created all of this, and that being is called God. And he, in essence, wrote the book about marriage. And so maybe if we want to live this happy, holy marriage, maybe we need to go back and live it the way that creator intended it to be lived out. And many times, especially when we lived in Austin, Texas, Dell Computers is there. And I would give them example. I say, if you work for Dell Computers and want to build computers, rest assured he has the plans to build that computer. And if you deviate from those plans, you can build a computer that may or may not work. And the problem is because you deviated from the plan. Well, God has a plan for marriage. And as we begin to make ourselves available to that plan and live it out, then we experience the joy and happiness that he promised that will be there as a result.
Hence that 98% success rate, again, as Greg said, has nothing to do with us, but we lead them back to practical tools on how to live it out the way God had intended it to be. Most of the couples that come to see us have never heard that, even if they have a faith. They, as us, when our pastor asked us, did you know God's plan for marriage? And we were like, who? He has a plan? Are you kidding me? And then Greg started reading and studying and brought that to me. And I'll tell you, that is the day when he called me into the room and he said, look at this. No wonder we're screwing it up. We aren't even coming close to doing what God intended. And I was like, well, what do we do? He said, I think we need to pray. And that moment, my heart exploded for this man, who then I realized what unconditional love, what authentic love, and what commitment truly was all about.
Wow.
That is beautiful. I actually have tears in
Yeah.
my eyes. And I know the story, but that is so touching, and it changed everything. What would you say? So many people in the culture, they don't even know what marriage is supposed to look like, and maybe they're feeling like, but you know what, I'm done, I'm out of this relationship. What would you say to them, like, why should they work harder and give it one last chance?
Well, again, going back to the simple fact that God has given us each other as a means to experience that happiness right here on earth. And if you not had it properly modeled, don't despair. There are resources out there that can help you gain an understanding of what marriage was really intended to be, and more importantly, our role and responsibility in this relationship. And as we live it the way it was intended, again, the joy and beauties are there. In fact, I'd even go further to say the difficulties just might be the result of the fact that we're not living it his way. And so he has to allow for the difficulties to happen, not so much to punish us, but to get us to understand that we're not doing it his way. And so hanging in and having that hope, looking at couples like ourselves who are indeed on the brink, to really say that, wow, that if they can come back and repair from where they've been, then maybe there's some hope for us as well.
Wow. Beautiful family.
It is. So I have a question too. We only have a minute left, but tell us the effect on the kids, how the children handled it initially, and we just only have a minute left.
Yeah, it was horrific because they were huddled in the corner crying, shaking, holding each other together because our hearts were so cold. But when we were challenged by our dear friend, the priest, has said God's plan for marriage, and we started learning it, everything transformed. We started inviting God into our home. We started praying together as not only a couple, but a family. And from that, then, as you could see, we have 7 children, 5 grandchildren. And from that moment of us turning around, repenting and asking God for forgiveness, asking each other forgiveness, look at the fruit that's born. That has nothing to do with anything other than us surrendering and saying, okay, God, we have no clue. We need your help.
Yeah, so 22 years ago, after 10 years of marriage, on the brink of divorce with 2 kids, now having 7 kids, 5 grandkids, and celebrating this year 34 years of marriage. So
Wow.
Congratulations.
What a beautiful,
That's fantastic.
beautiful story.
Wonderful story.
Thank you, Greg and Julie, for being on today. I think we should have you on again sometime in the near future. Thank you for sharing your story and your love, and for reaching out to people. You guys are definitely the real deal, so I can see why you help so many. Thank you, and we'll be right back on Ladies of Another View. I'm Beck.
Howdy, folks. It's a Caroline Cafe. I reckon it's time you're due for a hearty meal. So saddle up for the day with one of our Hey Bossin breakfast homemade soups. Fill your grill at our salad bar. Sink your teeth into our famous Caroline burger and barbecue ribs. Top it off with spoon-rattling pie with a cum roll that's sure to put a smile on even the toughest outlaws. Shake the dirt off the boots each night and warm up with the gang. Tell them about it, Stacy.
I can't wait to see you at the county line.
Hi, I'm Dennis Haugen, along with my sons Andy and Mike, and we're showing our support for wind energy in North Dakota.
Wind energy has provided farmers like us with a steady stream of income that's not tied to the weather like crops and cattle are.
Another bonus is that wind farm owners are required to maintain the roads leading up to the turbines. Because of that, oftentimes these roads are the best in the county.
Wind energy is good for landowners, it's good for the land, it's good for our economy, and it's good for North Dakota.
Capital City Restaurant Supply is your one-stop shop for quality restaurant products for the large to small kitchens. Commercial-grade restaurant and bar supplies, limb game processing equipment, refrigeration, dinnerware, and smallware. We sell everything including the kitchen sink from trusted manufacturers for the chef and all of us. Open to the public since 1971, we are veteran-owned and North Dakota proud. Let us take care of your restaurant and home kitchen needs today by visiting us at 1414 Interstate Loop in Bismarck or on the web at capitalcityrestaurantsupply.com.
My wife was diagnosed with early stage Alzheimer's. We talked about it and we kind of decided we'd be a little bit proactive and try to start making provisions. So we started looking here, and Eventide worked out to be pretty much the perfect answer. I guess I didn't expect it to be so nice. The staff here are terrific. We enjoy it.
The professionals at Superior Glass provide residential and commercial glass installation and repair services in central and western North Dakota. Superior Glass is your source for stained glass projects, mirrors, windows, touchless and automated entry solutions. Stop by and see us at 3323 East Broadway in Bismarck or call us at 701-258-5600. Superior Glass, where you get superior service for less. Bye for now.
Now is the best time to plan for your 2021 farm equipment needs. North Dakota-based Summers Manufacturing is currently offering early order savings. Take advantage of big savings on North America's broadest tillage line, including the Super Kohler Samurai and the innovative VRT Renegade, as well as the best-built, best-backed land rollers in the industry. Talk to your Summers dealer today or go to summersmfg.com to learn more about early order savings available on all Summers equipment.
Welcome back to Ladies of Another View on Back. And in our last segment, we had Greg and Julie Alexander of the Alexander House on, and they are just two beautiful people. If you go to there's their website, thealexanderhouse.org, and their first book was Marriage 911. That's a very good place to start if you feel you're in a crisis and you don't know what to do. But they also have many marriage resources, even if you have a good marriage. And they have decided to go on donations only, free will offering, and they will help people even if you can't afford.
And even
That's
if you're not
amazing.
having marriage trouble,
Right.
if you want to help others who might need their services,
Right.
you know, feel free to donate. And especially in this time of COVID where income is shorter,
Right.
for most, go ahead and feel free to donate to their cause.
Yeah.
Absolutely, yeah, just to step out. They stepped out in faith, and so God has responded, and because people have responded.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm glad you said that.
I love when people take something that really was difficult for them and then use it for good, and God uses them.
I
they're
love
inspiring.
it too. I believe, yeah, it's God uses all things for good. So what used to once was bad has now been so totally transformed that now they can use it to help others.
Yep.
And so we've already kind of started on our lighter side. This is our lighter side segment, but that was happy, light news, helping people. So lots of kids today, young adults, have a big college debt. There's a man who paid off his school loan of $50,000 by doing odd jobs, over 300 odd jobs. He was a Hawaiian man, and he paid off $50,000 in school loans in just 11 months by doing every kind of job he could find.
Wow. That's awesome.
He did 300 different kinds of odd jobs. So I saw his story. I saw a few pictures. It might have been delivering things, fixing roofs, you name it. He did childcare, picking up rocks. He was determined.
Oh my gosh, that would be
Look at
fun.
that, birthday parties. He thought, I'm going to pay this off quickly. I don't want this hanging over my head. He figured out that it would have taken him, his $50,000 in school loans would have taken him 10 years, paying $500 a month. And in the end, with interest, he would have paid about $70,000.
Wow.
So are those his hats right there, those caps? Does he, what, I saw the pictures
He
of the
was
caps.
selling, I think he was selling caps. I don't know if they were his or not, because I just saw a lot of pictures of some of the things he did. But you think about it, wow, $50,000, and when he calculated the interest, it would have been $70,000 at the end of 10 years of paying $500 a month.
Well, the interesting part of that is just this week, in fact, it was on the news this morning, how the Democrats want to eliminate student loans for people who have taken out loans. It's like, no, you took out a loan, you pay for the loan.
Exactly.
It's like, and what a great way, what a great example of someone going forward and just doing odd jobs. Don't tell me you can't pay off a loan.
Right.
I mean, it might take longer for some than others, but by golly, you took out that loan for your education. Are they saying that education isn't worth anything now?
Right.
So it's just fantastic that he took the initiative and had some pride in paying off his own loan.
Yeah, and that he did it in a year.
Yes.
I mean, 50,000.
11 months, yes.
Oh, 11 months,
11 months, yes. Even better.
$50,000
Yes.
for a kid. I'm totally impressed.
I saw where he said he was going to write a book about it too, to try and help others. And what
awesome.
impressed me, one of the things that impressed me the most of that article that you have there is that he said, no, it was my debt and I needed to pay it. And he wasn't looking for somebody else to do it for him. That was so impressive. And he's 27, and that's wonderful that, you know, I know kids that would know to do that at 18, but, you know, they're getting to be fewer and far between.
Yeah.
But, you know, when you rack up the debt, you pay it off. And it's almost like, you know, a lot of people that I know are big Dave Ramsey fans, and, you know, he will tell you debt is, you know, that it's not a good thing, and how
That's
to
on
get
Sirius,
out of debt.
on our way home from here, that's on Sirius FM after we're done recording.
Oh,
Right?
awesome.
So I listened to it on the way
Yeah.
home.
I love
Yeah.
Dave Ramsey.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, and we admire someone like him who just, you know, dug in, worked hard, paid off his debt.
Yes.
And now he's going to do a book, and I'm sure it's going to be a bestseller.
Well, and isn't it something, too? He had $50,000 in student loan debt. I don't know how long he was in college, but the other thing is, I was just listening to our governor's State of the State before I came today, and he was talking about 50% of the budget was in K through 12 and higher ed. And that's a boatload of money. And when you think about how much money taxpayers are paying into the education system, and to still have that kind of student loan debt coming out,
Right.
I just can't even comprehend, where's 50% of our state budget going then? If it's not paying for students to go to college, they're having to take out their own loans. Where is all that going?
Plus,
That's
NDSU is a
mind-boggling.
land grant. NDSU is a land grant school, so they're getting money anyway, and yet they're higher than UND. I'm not.
Yeah.
I have kids at both, so I can say that.
Right. Yeah.
Okay, well, we have less than a minute. Any parting comments? Or
Enjoy-
have we said it all?
Let's anticipate, I mean, tomorrow.
Okay.
What's coming, and let's pray. That's my
Yes,
message.
yes.
Let's
Yeah.
send prayers up to God.
Yeah.
Two big things, the Electoral College and also the election in Georgia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back tomorrow, so tune in tomorrow. We're going to talk about that, and we'll be a lot wiser by then. We'll know what's going on. and
Gosh, we just don't know. We
Well,
don't know
no,
what's
we
going to
don't.
happen in 24 hours. Our whole world could change.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Absolutely. So I hope
But
you
that's
join
on
us
any
tomorrow.
given day. But
Yeah.
there's just a bigger odds
Right.
of it happening
We'll
now.
be here on Ladies of Another View on Beck.
See ya.